You know that charming image of cosplay girls on the streets of Tokyo, holding up colorful signs and inviting tourists to cafes or bars? Seems harmless, right? But what if I told you there's a much darker side behind that cute distraction? Let's take a closer look at how this system works, where it came from, and why so many young women end up trapped in it. I'll show you the truth that is rarely spoken about. Kabukicho in Shinjuku is known as Japan's largest adult entertainment district, a place that never seems to sleep. Between themed bars, karaoke lounges, and nightclubs, there's a curious figure that always catches the eye: the so-called sign girls, also known as standing girls. At first glance, the sign girls of Kabukicho might seem like just another element of Japanese pop culture, a visual invitation to the nightlife. But upon closer inspection, their role goes far beyond holding a sign and smiling at passers-by. According to data from the Zenbird media portal, a significant portion of these young women are directly or indirectly connected to the host club system. These establishments don't just sell drinks, they sell the illusion of romance and personalized attention. This experience, however, comes at an exorbitant price. A single night can cost thousands of yen, and hosts skilled in emotional manipulation encourage customers to spend more and more, with implicit promises of affection or even a potential future relationship. When the bill arrives and can't be paid, solutions are proposed from within the industry itself. Work as a sign girl to attract new customers to bars or clubs. But for some, that's only the first step towards something riskier. Not all end up there for this reason. Some have other motives. But it's one of the main entry points. Reports from the Star and the East Asia Forum reveal that, in many cases, these young women are introduced to prostitution as a way to pay off debts, a process that exists in a legal gray area since Japanese law prohibits prostitution but does not criminalize all forms of sex work. The most disturbing aspect is that this cycle feeds on emotional vulnerability. Research on Japan's loneliness economy shows that young people who arrive in Kabukicho seeking connection, whether as clients or workers, often already carry trauma, social isolation, and limited economic prospects. For them, the glamour of neon lights and a host's smile are more than a service. They're a temporary escape from a harsh reality. But this escape is expensive, and when the money runs out, the illusion shatters, revealing a system that profits from debt and emotional dependence, in which the sign girl is often the most visible yet also the most disposable face. The phenomenon of sign girls and their connection to host clubs didn't appear out of nowhere. It is the result of decades of evolution in Japan's nightlife, combined with deep social changes. The story of Yuka, a 23-year-old Japanese woman, serves as a tragic case study for understanding the alarming phenomenon of standing women in Tokyo. Originally from rural Japan, Yuka moved to Tokyo hoping for a fresh start. However, instead of finding opportunities, she faced even deeper loneliness. On the verge of a mental breakdown, Yuka made a decision that would change her life. She downloaded a dating app. Soon, a handsome man contacted her and invited her to a coffee shop. During the meeting, Yuka felt emotions she had never experienced before. The man was kind and, most importantly, he listened to her. For the first time, she felt like a princess, believing that someone finally cared about her. At the end of the meeting, however, came the revelation. The man, named Egawa, confessed that he worked as a host at a club in Kabukicho. He asked her to visit him occasionally, to nominate him, pay to spend time with him, to help him climb the club's popularity rankings. He assured her it wouldn't be expensive. At first, Egawa's promise seemed true. Her first visit cost only about 10,000 yen. Encouraged, Yuka began going to the club every night to see her boyfriend. However, the price to nominate him began to increase exponentially. Eventually, she was paying around 200,000 yen, about 2,000 per night. Inevitably, the day came when she could no longer afford it. That's when Egawa revealed his true nature. He encouraged her to go to Okubo Park in Kabukicho with a simple instruction: just stand there. He told her that if she did, customers would naturally approach her. Thus began Yuka's new and darker routine. Every day, she would stand in the park alongside other young women in similar situations. Every yen she earned went straight back to the club to pay her debt to Egawa. Yuka's story is not unique. According to the Tokyo Metropolitan Police, the vast majority of young women arrested for street prostitution in Kabukicho that year were doing so to pay off debts to host clubs. In April 2023, Egawa was arrested, accused of luring and coercing Yuka into prostitution for his own financial gain, exposing the vicious cycle that turns the search for connection into a trap of exploitation. There's also a cultural factor. In Japan, talking about financial problems or seeking outside help can be seen as shameful. This pressure to handle it alone keeps many young women trapped in the cycle. So while the lights of Kabukicho may have changed over the decades, the underlying logic of exploiting emotional and economic vulnerability remains the same, simply adapted to modern times, with social media and messaging apps expanding the industry's reach. For the young women directly involved, the impact is brutal. Many enter this work believing it will be temporary, just a way to ease a debt. Emotional manipulation by hosts combined with constant demands for payment creates a psychological dependency almost comparable to an abusive relationship. There's also the toll on mental and physical health. Anxiety, depression, eating disorders, and alcohol abuse are common. Culturally, the phenomenon reinforces problematic gender stereotypes and norms. The idea that affection can or should be bought, and that women are always available to meet emotional and visual expectations, shapes social perceptions in lasting ways. Moreover, the sign girl aesthetic has been co-opted by innocent entertainment sectors like anime and games, creating a romanticized image that hides the real risks and pressures of the job. And perhaps most concerning, invisibility. Outside districts like Kabukicho, this issue is rarely discussed. Many Japanese women who fall into this cycle do so silently, without seeking family or institutional support, fearing stigma. Meanwhile, for tourists, the presence of sign girls is seen merely as another exotic charm of Japanese nightlife, a charm that, in reality, is built on something deeply exploitative. While the host club and sign girl system may seem solid and deeply rooted, there are, albeit modest, efforts to reduce its harm and provide alternatives for young women trapped in the cycle. Legally, prostitution has been officially banned in Japan since 1956, but the law contains loopholes that allow paid sexual activities as long as they do not involve full sexual intercourse, leaving room for the fuzoku, regulated sex industry. These loopholes make it difficult to directly criminalize practices that use debt to coerce women into sex work, and enforcement is often ineffective. Even so, some local governments like Tokyo's have increased operations to curb aggressive recruitment and the solicitation of minors on Kabukicho streets. Understanding this reality is more than just a curiosity about Japan's nightlife. It's an invitation to reflect on how appearances can be deceiving and how human vulnerability can be turned into a commodity. What may seem like just another exotic detail to tourists is, for many young women, a daily struggle for emotional and financial survival. If this story opened your eyes to a side of Japan that few people show, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos, and leave a like. It helps bring this content to more people.